Hi VC, Chris here with my third video for the community, and this is going to be another subs contest response, this time to Andy's Vinyl Den. Andy set up a contest when he reached 200 subscribers, and in the time it's taken for the contest to run, he's already surpassed 300, so well done Andy. Great channel by the way, I love it. Lessons learned from previous videos, have my notes, and have some muscle relaxant. Cheers. As a nod to Carsten in Denmark, this is Mr. Pink from the Tuol Brewery, who are Denmark brewers, and this is a Berliner style Weiss beer with lychee and pink guava. So at least one of my 5 a day there. So on to the contest. Andy wanted us to show 10 perfect albums. Perfect albums. What's a perfect album? Well, I went for something I can put on from start to finish without feeling the need to get up, jump a track, skip anything or anything like that, and be consistent across the album. Obviously there's going to be peaks and troughs across any album. You like some songs more than you like others, but all the songs on these albums are strong. It can be a mixture of CDs and vinyl, because at least one of the albums I'm going to show you cannot get on vinyl. It was released as a picture disc, as a record label only promo, but I've never seen that for sale at all anywhere. And we're going to start with that album. And this is Blind Guardian, Nightfall in Middle-earth. And Blind Guardian are a German power metal band. This is their 6th studio album, and it was released back in 1998. Can't remember how I got into these, but what I can tell you is this album is superb. It's a concept album based on J.R. Tolkien's Silmarillion. It's got 22 tracks on. Some of them are just little musical interludes and some spoken bits and pieces, but brilliant power metal all the way through. Some standout tracks on this which sort of stay in their live repertoire to this day. So Into the Storm, Mirror Mirror, Time Stands Still, stuff like that. Brilliant stuff. If you like your power metal and you've never heard this album before, thoroughly recommend it. Okay, changing track, onto some vinyl. This is one of my favourite albums of all time, and this is Crowded House, Woodface. This is the reissue that came out last year, because unfortunately my original copy, which was signed by the band, was stolen when we were burgled a number of years ago, along with a number of other things which I will never be able to replace again, which is a bit of a bugger. This is their 3rd album. Crowd House was set up by Neil Finn and Paul Hester from Split Enz, joined by Nick Seymour on bass, and produced 2 really good albums, and then we're struggling a little bit with the 3rd album, and Neil's brother Tim, who we'd been in Split Enz with, joined the fold to help with the songwriting and produced probably one of the strongest albums ever recorded. Beautiful pop music, brilliant songwriting, superb live band as well. I've seen them several times before, both as Crowded House and Neil Finn solo, and highly recommend anyone who likes the music and likes a good live show, regardless of what type of music you like, to get along to this. I think Neil's interaction with an audience is just superb and second to none. So, moving on to my next album, we have Levitation by Hawkwind. Not a Hawkwind album that gets a lot of love, but my favourite Hawkwind album. Absolutely love this. It was released back in 1980, just as I was kind of really getting to know the band. Superb album. As always, the artwork on Hawkwind stuff is excellent. And this comes on a particularly nice blue vinyl on the bronze label. This was Hawkwind's 10th studio album, and it was one of the first albums ever to be recorded using sort of digital formats. It sounds absolutely superb on vinyl. I have a couple of copies on CD, but nothing can touch the vinyl. Hugh Lloyd Langton's guitar playing on this is outstanding. The sound quality on it is superb, and if you like sort of slightly spacey stuff. The guitar playing on that, I don't think you'll hear better. Absolutely brilliant. So changing tack a little bit, moving on to 1989, we've got the Indigo Girls, and this is their second album. And I was introduced to the Indigo Girls via the sister of one of my friends. Absolutely love this album. Sort of folksy, Americana-y, singer-songwriter-y. Backing on this is done on a number of tracks by an Irish band called the Hothouse Flowers, and members of REM actually appear on one of the songs, and Michael Stipe does vocals on the track Kid Fears. I mean, the first side of this album is outstanding, and you think, well, it can only go downhill from here. And whilst it does ever so slightly, it's still such a strong second side that you don't really notice. Absolutely brilliant. If you like a sort of Americana singer-songwriter stuff, go for it. It's absolutely superb. Love it myself. Try and clear that tickle in my throat. Right, going further back in time, 1975, and Jethro Tull, Minstrel in the Gallery. This was an album that kind of harked back to Tull's earlier stuff. The album preceding this, War Child, was a little bit darker, a little bit rockier, and they've kept some of the darkness in the sort of feel of some of the songs, but musically it goes back to their earlier stuff. Such a strong album. Some beautiful, beautiful songs. Baker Street Muse on this album is absolutely superb. Seen Tull several times live, and always put on a good show. Ian Anderson has been touring solo recently, and I've seen him a couple of times, and his voice is starting to go. But he's such a good showman. He knows how to get around that. He has joint vocalists up on stage with him to really do the hard bits for him and carry a lot of the work. Well worth going to see if you can. Moving on in 1991, we've got Journey's Escape. Now, this album gets a bit of a bad rap. I mean, Don't Stop Believing is probably the most overplayed song in the history of modern music. I mean, even I'm starting to tire of it, and I love this album. But every single other album track on here is brilliant. I mean, not a duffer on it. I've had the pleasure of seeing these guys live as well a couple of times, and I first saw them when I went over for a trip to Vegas. Unfortunately, never seen them with Steve Perry. It was Steve Aguirre at the time when I saw them on the Arrival tour. But absolutely superb musicians. I mean, this is often seen as a bit of a, I mean, Journey often seen as a bit of a soft rock act, but I mean, this is got some mighty guitars in. Neil Sean's playing on this is absolutely brilliant. Thoroughly recommend it. Great, great album. Changing notes. And sticking with 1981, but in a slightly different vein, we have Tin Drum by Japan. This was their fifth and final studio album. And it contains one of my favourite songs of all time in Ghosts, which is just such a haunting, haunting song. In fact, the whole album has a really haunting feel to it. You can tell the band are going through that sort of breakup period. There's a sadness to the whole album. Absolutely brilliant. Mick Karn's bass playing on this is stunning. Can't recommend it highly enough. I mean, it is very 80s. It's stylized in that sort of direction, but such a strong album. I can't but recommend it. Absolutely brilliant. Right, down to 1971, and Mountain, Nantucket Sleigh Ride. What a brilliant, brilliant album this is. Sort of psyche, bluesy, rock, great stuff. Leslie West is a consummate guitar player, absolutely superb. Most famous track on this will be the title track, Nantucket Sleigh Ride. In the UK, it was commonly known as the theme tune to one of our local, well, one of our TV political shows, Weekend World, and which is how I got to hear it originally. My friend's sister was a big fan of the band and had a dalliance with Corky Lang at least one time when they played up in Newcastle. Superb album. The picked it today primarily because, as I'm recording it, it's the anniversary of Felix Pappalardi's death. Felix Pappalardi is the bass player within Mountain, and probably my favourite bass player of all time. Absolutely love the stuff he does. Great stuff. Highly recommend this. And now going back to 1991, so there's obviously something in the water that year. Now, this isn't, actually I picked this up, this is reissue from last year on Back on Black, I think. Was it Back on Black? Yeah, Back on Black. But I've got, I think, about 4 other copies of this, picked up from various places. This is my wife's favourite album, and she's loved it from day one when it was released. A couple of years ago, when I was at work, just flicking through the internet during my lunch hour, I happened to notice that they were touring, playing the whole of this album. And they were playing Toronto, which is where they're from, and where Jill's always wanted to see them, Jill being my wife, on her birthday. No brainer, really. That was it. Booked tickets, and we were off. Brilliant, brilliant show. Lights went down, guitar sounded, both of us burst into tears. Brilliant. It's a superb album. Camera Eye on this is a particular favourite of mine. And to finish things off, so this is the newest album I'm going to show, and it's a CD again. And this is Norwegian power metal band called Sonata Arctica. This is their 4th studio album, and it's a bit of a concept album around the subject of fairy tales and lycanthropy, you know, werewolves and all that. My mouth's not working. Superb album. Seen these live a number of times as well. Saw them a brilliant show in Madrid once. Something about non-UK crowds which just elevates the music. I'm afraid the UK music scene for gigs tends to be a little bit poor and a little bit stale. Really solid all the way through this. I mean, the number of tracks that have remained in their live set to this day, Don't Say a Word, Shaman a Lie. Shaman a Lie is a brilliant song. Love it. So there you go. That's my 10 perfect albums just picked off the shelves. Could have picked many, many more. But I hope that gives a sort of small flavour of kind of stuff I listen to. Congrats again on the 200 subscribers, and I look forward to the 300 subscribe contest. Cheers. Bye now.